Hello students, welcome to the series on marketing and retail business. Today we are going to cover unit 2. In this we will study the non-store retailing. Now the basic objective of the study is to study the retailing activities through vending machine, and it is concerned to door selling to enhance sale and also the mail order retailing. Now let us study the non-store based retailing. The non-store based retailing is a form of retailing in which sales are made to consumers without using physical stores. The medium is its direct marketing, direct selling, and we have vending machines or e-tailing. So what is non-store retailing? This basically relates to the concept of selling where we directly contact the consumers either through salesmen or through the websites or through the machines. That is, we do not have a physical location or a store, and we try to make the purchases in terms where there is a direct interaction between the manufacturer, seller, retailer or the consumer. Now let us study the advantages of non-store sales. Now here the consumers do not need to go to the stores. The consumers have convenience of buying for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week and delivery at location and at time of their choice. Non-store sales are now growing at higher rate than sales in retail stores. The high growth rate is primarily due to the growth of electronic retailing. It is not only very essential that we need markets where the consumers and sellers meet, that is there are stores and there are physical layouts, but the selling and the marketing can happen anywhere and anytime. The customers can connect with each other also, with the vendors also, or they can connect to the people who have stocks also. So here the retailing happens throughout the day, that is it is a non-stop process because the needs arise as and when the customers have free time, and the access to the facilities is more convenient because people get time in night or people get time as and when they are off their duties. So non-store retailing has become a kind of a trend, and it is more easy for the customers to connect to these kinds of vendors. Now let us first study the medium that is known as the vending machine. Vending machine is a retailing format involving the coin or card operated dispensing of goods such as beverages and services such as money and banking facilities. It eliminates the use of sales personnel and allows for round the clock sales. Now the most common option of our life where we are using vending machines is the ATM machines. ATM machines is the automatic teller machines which operate round the clock. Here the money is stored and people as and when they need, they can enter their PIN number and get access to the facilities of the banking. Here we do not require the salesman, or the customers do not have to wait for the long hours in the banks for their turns. It is at any time when even it is not the official time of the bank, you can access to these facilities. We have these machines located in colleges, in banks and many other locations where access to money, beverages and other services has become easy and convenient for the customers. Now vending machines can be placed wherever they are most convenient to the customers. It can be inside or outside a hotel, corridor, station, airport or a street corner. So vending machine has become a part of our life. We have been growing up with this trend, and this trend will become more common in the coming times. The disadvantages of retailing through vending machine are, it is costly items are not sold by vending machines. Many consumers are reluctant to purchase more expensive items. The customers are reluctant to buy because they do not see the items displayed. Now vending machines are not a kind of a solution for everything in retailing. You have costly services, you have costly items where the money, where the per unit price is high, the customers will not believe in machines and they will not invest their money in these facilities. So, it is very difficult that everywhere and at any time vending machines can be used for all facilities of life. Now, let us study the impacts of vending machines on retail activities. Vending machines do improve the productivity and the customer relations. Vending machine retailers use microprocessors to track consumer preferences, trace malfunctions and record receipts. The devices transmit data back to the host computer. This data is analyzed and communication is sent to route drivers, informing them of stockouts and malfunctions. Now, vending machines are also run through softwares. Here the process of tracking the customers is very easy. When the customers connect to the machines, the PIN is entered and the PIN directly connects to the customer data. So, this data is routed back to the host computer where all the information about the customer is recorded, and according to that recording and the facilities, a kind of a receipt is also generated. So, these machines basically help both the consumers and the host machines also. Some machines even have voice synthesizers. Video kiosks enable consumers to access the merchandise and also use their credit cards to make purchase. Most of the technology is now getting advanced. The impact of this technology is so huge that in coming times 38% kinds of the human jobs will be vanished and they will be taken over by kiosks. So, they will generally are kind of robotic machines which will assess and help the customers to do everything. They will have the voice synthesizers and they will give assistance to the customers to buy and choose the goods according to their convenience. Kiosks have an impact on consumers' life to buy goods in an easy way. Now, let us study the electronic retailing. Electronic retailing is a retail format in which the retailer and the customer communicate with each other through an interactive electronic network. The customer can order merchandise directly through the internet network or by telephone. The merchandise is then delivered to the customer's address. Now, when we talk about electronic retail, this is generally a kind of a retailing or a business done through websites. We can order through phone calls or through emails and can get connected to the vendors. The vendors can understand our orders and generally track our orders to dispatch them to our locations at convenient times. Now, the advantages of e-retailing are shown in this diagram. It helps you to reduce the cost of negotiation. It helps in promoting new products. The customer has the power to review the products. It increases the options and the choices to select. It builds communication. Now, when we talk about e-retailing, it is always an advantage because here everything is written and the customer can read it. So, obviously, the cost of negotiation and talking is less, and it also promotes the product because the display is very attractive and the customers can have interest and access to the information. It also gives you the power to choose at any hour of the day. The positive impacts of e-retailing are generally it helps to create a feedback of the customers. It attracts customers through coupons and discounts. It gives accurate information for the companies also. Now, when you have a kind of a direct and an instant feedback, the companies can understand the customers' complaint and grievances and can modify the products and services according to the needs of the customers. The companies have a data of the feedback and the customers have the advantage of having information about the companies. Now, let us study the characteristics of e-retailing. E-retailing basically enhances the retailer's image. It reaches geographically dispersed consumers, including the foreign ones. It provides information to consumers about products carried to location, usage information, answers to common questions and customer loyalty programs. So, when we talk about the advantages of e-retailing, obviously, we can reach even to the customers who are located in distant locations or to the foreign locations also. we can cross beyond the local customers and increase our impact to the global markets. The advantage is about the information shared, about the kind of the problems discussed, and it is also the review which is required to understand how the products can operate. And here the customers have assurance that whatever advice and information is given is a kind of a consultancy to him. Now, let us study the avenues and options of online retailing. The customers need sites which can move in a fast way. They get attracted to sites with detailed product information and prices. Online selling requires low investment and low cost. Online selling has no entry barriers. The online website should be simple with moderate information so that they do not waste much time. Now, when we talk about the sites, the customers are always attracted to attractive sites where there is information, where the tracking is easy and when the display is good. And if the customers can understand the sites and can read the sites in an easy way, it is always an advantage for the sellers, because the tracking, the searching is always a convenience. It saves time for the customers, and if the sites are difficult or they are basically not accessible to customers in an easy way, the customers reject the sites. They generally buy products from the sites where the tracking is easy. Now, the site should have an introductory home page, over-speed navigation, vividly described product benefits, updated displays regularly, provide expert information and price competitively. So, it is always an advantage for the site that the information should be narrative and it should be discussed in a detailed way to solve all the queries of the customers, and if the customers are satisfied with the information, they will be attached to you and they will be loyal to you. Now, let us study the problems of e-retailing. Poor inventory management also causes major losses for many .coms. Brutal price competition is there. Insufficient product return systems are there. It results in poor gross margins for online players only. It is high marketing cost. So, the business can be seen as a lucrative option, but the problem for the vendors are huge. Maybe the kind of the customers get attracted, but there are a lot of frustrations. When people want to return their goods, it becomes difficult for companies to manage the returns and how to adjust with the complaints. So, the problems of e-retailing are huge because the competition is fierce, the maintenance cost is high, and now even the rental charges for even the websites are going high. The experienced offline brands spend about 18% less than the startups on establishing retail websites. It is online customer acquisition cost high. Their customers generate too few orders and too little profit per order to cover the cost of winning them. When we talk about the websites, it is a kind of availability of huge softwares which is required. So, the buying the cart and managing the websites is also a kind of a function which is heavily investment oriented. You require trained people to manage the websites. So, the personnel and the manpower cost is also high, whereas with the offline businesses, the untrained people can also manage business. The acquisition cost per customer is very high because the advertising required through websites needs to be very effective. So, the pay per click goes very high. Now, the challenges of e-retailing basically are explained as follows. First is customers are uncomfortable sending credit card information. Preferences is for seeing the product before purchasing. No existence of credit card is in some markets. It is insufficient information about products to make decisions. It is lack of confidence with online merchants. So, when we talk about the challenges of the online or the e-retailing, the customers have little faith because most of the customers do not want to share their credit card information with all kinds of websites. They have a preferred kind of preference to give their credit card information, maybe to the government websites like railways or airlines. They could share the information, but with private websites it becomes difficult for the customers to have faith, because there is lot of fraud and hacking happening there. So, the websites do face a problem to connect with the customers, and since there are many products and services where the customers do not want to use their credit card information, or they do not want to use their credit cards only, it becomes difficult for online sellers to sell the goods to the consumers. The limitation of talking to the salesperson is always there in e-retailing. Online buyers have to bear overly high shipping cost. It is need to try for fit in the case of apparels. It is high prices. It is inappropriate for large, perishable and luxury items, and it is concern for privacy. So, the markets cannot always be converted into e-retailing, because we have perishable goods, we have luxury items where the per cost item is very high. So, no customer will have faith to invest money, because every customer wants the full value for the return. So, that is a major concern, that when the customer is getting into the market, he gets to convince for the product. And sometimes when we talk about apparels, we need to see the fittings and the dressings before buying the products. So, e-retailing fails in this aspect. The markets generally have to boom in a same way. E-retailing and physical locations both are important for the customers. Now, let us talk about the hindrance for the customers for involving in online shopping. The biggest barriers for consumers to feel hindered for the online shopping, basically the basic experiences are related to price, security, ease of navigation, touch and lack of trust. So, obviously, the prices sometimes in the online shopping go high, because the shipping cost is also added. So, this makes the cost per item high, and sometimes the security reasons of not sharing your credit card information is also a major hindrance, and because you cannot touch the items and you cannot see the presentation actually in terms of the real product. So, the customers have little trust to buy the goods online. Let us see about the car boot sales. Car boot sales are becoming increasingly popular, where often a vehicle is modified for the sale of variety of merchandise like books and magazines, clothes and music cassettes, export surplus and rejects, fast food items. Now, car boot sales are also becoming a wave in today's selling markets, because the kind of the locations which we need to buy for retail options are going very high. So, we have vehicles which can be opened or can be modified to open a shop for selling books, magazines, clothes or fast food, and these cars can be taken to the convenient locations where the customers are there, like near the banks or near the offices where the customers are gathering and doing their duties. So, it is easy for the cars to connect with this customer segment and get the sales done in an easy way. It provides the opportunities for small traders who may lack the capital for permanent premises. They are often situated near the university campus and the commercial areas. Its target audience is lower middle and middle class customers looking for value for money of the products. So, when we talk about these car boot sales, the customers connected, they are of the middle class who have to invest much little amount of money for eating and buying things, and where the per unit sales item could go from 10 rupees to 50 rupees or to 100. So, the customers do not think before buying these items, and so these daily items are available near the commercial buildings or near the commercial organizations where most of the customers gather. Now, let us study the factors impacting the sales. Here the profitability is very high, the personnel who are engaged are trained people, and the brand image is high. Now, let us study these functions in detail. First is why the profitability is high. First of all, we save the rental charges and we also save the initial investment which is required in property. So, when we talk about the non-store retailing, it is always beneficial for both the customers and the vendors. The vendors have a easy access to the customers to start their businesses with small scale operations, and so the entrepreneurs can also connect to the market and can engage in the businesses. When we talk about the personnel, this business cannot be done by people who are not trained in the industry, because to generally engage in this type of business, people need education and people need to understand what are the ethics of online business, and they need to have little knowledge of understanding and tracking the customers. The image is very important, because as a kind of individual vendor, it is very difficult that we can cultivate the trust and faith in the minds of the customers. But the options is that we can connect to already established players in the market, like we have the huge retailers like Amazon and eBay, who can support the individual vendors and they can sell through these chains, because these are huge websites who have a kind of a branding and an image already established in the market, and they have huge discounts and promotions all the year round going through, and these are advertised through the media, and they support the kind of the social interactions of the audiences also. So, it becomes easy for the individual vendors and the small entrepreneurs to connect to these bigger websites and sell their products. Now, let us study the functions of the non-store retailing. Now, the basic functions of the non-store retailing are that the assortments are arranged, there is a wide variety and a vast variety of options available, the prices are low per unit, it is easy promotions done, easy offering of discounts for the year sales. See, the kind of the functions which the non-store retailing is performing is basically connecting to the customers with the options that people do find it difficult to search in physical locations, because we cannot generally get the art and we cannot get the products from different locations of the world, because the traditions are different. But here, if you are interested in particular art or particular tradition, the goods can be sourced according to the taste of the customers, and here the promotions become easy and the discounts can be offered in an easy way, because the advertisement cost is less, and here the updations can generally make the customers aware for availing the kind of the year round sales, or the discounts can generally attract the customers to buy goods. Now, let us study the summary of this lecture. In this lecture, we have studied the non-store retailing. In this, we have covered the impact of the vending machines. We have also read about the electronic retailing, and we have also understood the impact of car boot retailers. So, generally all these kinds of retailers do not require physical stores. Here the customers can connect and then can buy goods which are generally of daily use, and it is a kind of a fast moving market which is impacting the modern trends of the retail business. Non-store retailing is important for generating sales which are related to convenient items, and this is the investment is less and here the customer satisfaction is high. I hope the students must have understood the importance of non-store retailing and the basic functions related to it. Thank you, students.